Hello and welcome. My name is Obi, and in this video tutorial, I will go through these basic configurations. After doing that, I will do some of these basic configurations. I'm going to equally configure ADDS. I will equally configure RAS and NAT. After that, I will configure DHCP. The DHCP will list out IP addresses for my connected computers. So this is basically how my network is going to look like. When you look at this, this is my VMware that I will create. This is the two network cards here, which will be on my domain controller, and one will get internet from my home router, and the other I will configure it as an internal network. So after this, I will go through ADDS, which is Active Directory Domain Services. After that, I will equally configure remote access, network address translation, and I will equally configure DHCP. Okay, this is my virtual box. So by doing that, I will go to new. Here I will name my server. I will simply name it as DC, which is domain controller. Here I will be required to select my ISO image. I already downloaded this ISO image for Windows Server and Windows 10. It requires a lot of time to download depending on your internet. So it is advisable you get it done, get it saved in your computer, in your folder where it will be easily accessible for you. I don't need this. I will skip unintended installation. I will click on next. Here I will be required to specify the memory that I will use for this installation. This is RAM memory, and the base memory is on 2 gig, so I will leave it as this 2 gig. My CPU processor, I will increase it to 2 cores. I'll click on next. Here is my hard disk. My hard disk, the base memory given is 50 gig. I'll leave it as this. Though depending on your own laptop specification or the device you are using, you might reduce it a bit or you might increase, but the base memory here is 50 gig. For me, my laptop is capable of accommodating this, so I'll leave it as this. I'll click on next. Here to give me the summary of what I have already set up, and I will click on finish. So by doing this, I have created an empty domain controller. We are done. We'll have to do some network configuration. So it's either you right click on this and select settings, or you select this and then click on settings here. First, we go to system. Make sure you uncheck floppy drive here. Go to display, okay, storage, okay, audio, network. Yes, this is another place. Now, when you look at our diagram, you can see that we have 2 network adapters, and we're going to replicate that here. The first adapter that I said we receive access to my home router. It will receive internet from my home router, which is on NAT. So I will leave it on NAT. And then my second adapter, I will enable the network adapter, and I will configure it to use my internal network, which is internet. I will click OK. Basically, this is OK now. So now I am done with this basic configuration. The next thing to do is to start my machine and load my operating system. It's either you click on start here once you have selected here, so you can start your virtual machine. See this window. I will leave these settings like this. Install. Here you will be required to choose one of these operating systems. I will choose Windows Server 2019 Data Center Evaluation Desktop Experience. If I'm to choose this Windows Server 2019 Data Center Evaluation, after the installation, it might give me a CLI interface. So I don't want that. I want GUI, which should be better. Click on Next. I'll agree on license agreement. Next. Since I'm installing a new window, I don't have already existing one. I will click on custom and select that. Be sure that this is my space I already allocated to it, and click next. So this will take a little bit of time. You don't need to press anything here. Okay, here we are required to input a password. Here you click on finish. Our DC is set up but lacks other services that runs on it. So here, once you want to get in, you click on input, keyboard, and then Control Alt Delete. Here it will allow you to input the password. Go ahead and do that and click enter. You can say no for now. We'll exit this. Okay, now our server manager's dashboard is loaded. So there is what we are going to install here. It is called guest addition software. Once you install that, it will enable you to have your dashboard in a full view mode. So let's go ahead and do that. Click on devices here, insert guest addition CD image. Click on it. Once you have done that, locate your file explorer here, this PC, CD drive, VirtualBox guest addition. Double click on it. Double click on AMD 64 and then allow the installation to finish. You don't need to alter anything. And click finish. So the system will restart. Yes, and we are good to go. Let's just log in as usual. So when you double click on it now, just wait for a while. Yes, so that is it. It will take a little bit of time to replicate, and it has done that. So that is it for this one. We look back to our diagram. We can see that yes, we have installed our DC server 2019, and we need to actually get the information from our networks, and as well as change the name. When you come here, right click on this system. You see, when you look at this, it has some weird name here. So we need to rename it just like what we have there as DC. Next. We'll just restart the PC. So once that is done, you log in back again. Just wait for it to load our server manager's board. So what we need to do now is to set up our IP addresses. Um, what we do, just look at this network icon here. You can click on it, and we'll click on network and internet settings. Uh, this should be changed net adapter options. Yes. So remember we set two NICs, and this is the first one, this is the second one. So for us to determine which one is being used as our home router, we'll have to look at the IP addresses that is associated with each and every one of them. So this is our two NICs that is assigned to this DC, and for us to know the one that is getting IP from our home router, just double click on this details, and then uh, look at this. This is 169.254.119.175. This is internal one. This is the one that is getting. This is an internal one because this could not be able to resolve any IP address, so it gave it retained an APIPA address because this is an APIPA address, automatic private IP addressing, and this is basically the one that gets internet from our router, which is 10.0.2.15. But how come it's on internet too? And anyways, it doesn't really matter if adapter one we chose here and here is appearing in Ethernet 1 and 2. So what we need to do now is for this we click on we have to rename it first so that we can be able to determine which one is which. Here we are going to name this one as Internet. We name this one as internal. So by this, it will enable me to know which one is for a home router and which one I need to configure. So I don't need to do anything to this one, and again, I have business with this. So for this, I will right click on properties. I will double click on Internet Protocol version 4. Use the following IP address. So here I will manually assign the IP address I showed you in the diagram. I will assign this address to it. 172.16.0.1 mask 255.255.255.0 and DNS 127.0.0.1. This is just a kind of a loop back to point back to itself. I will not set the gateway. I will leave the gateway as empty. So here we have 172.160.1 255.255.255.0. Default gateway, I'll leave it as empty, and then DNS, I will set it as a loopback address. .0, .0, .1. So when you're done with this, you click OK, OK, and that's it. So we're done setting up this IP address. The next we have here is setting up our ADDS, which is Active Directory Domain Service.